So I'm feeling pretty comfortable today with all my 4-H colleagues. So I'm going to admit to you, I think I have an addiction problem. Now you're probably looking at me, how could she possibly have an addiction? But I will admit, I think I'm addicted to 4-H. And it hit rock bottom probably a couple months ago. I was having a little issue. The board was making decisions about 4-H programming, and I wasn't happy about it. And I was talking to a board member, and he says to me, maybe you should just care a little less. And I was like, and I started twitching and convulsing, and I was like, not care about 4-H? How could I possibly do that? And unfortunately, this program development leadership cohort, I think, has only made my addiction worse. Because now I've learned about all these new resources. It's really connected the dots for me for program development and what I've been doing and what I'm missing. So it's only made that addiction worse. So I'm going to start today by telling you where my addiction got started, and then where it has taken me today. Which buttons will I haven't done this in a while. Okay. Am I not? No. Let's try this. That one? Nope. Yep, there you go. It just takes a second. Okay, so my addiction began way back. My mother was a 4-H'er. My father was a 4-H'er. So my mom was a 4-H leader. I'm the youngest of 6 kids. So I was attending 4-H meetings and events in the womb. And, then I was totally involved as a youth. So I put some of my proudest moments up here. Of course, my champion lamb way back so many years ago. I got $9 and I think $9.25 pound for that lamb. So back then that was big money. And then I had champion steer. The dress was dresses we made for my sister's wedding, my oldest sister's wedding way back. She had the whole country wedding theme. So I made that for dress review and went all the way to districts with that. But, I was involved in every aspect of 4-H as a youth. So it's no wonder that I stand in front of you today as a 4-H educator. I come to you from Niagara County. I'd like to say I work under those 2 rainbows every day, but most of the time it looks like the bottom picture there. And I don't know if most of you are probably familiar, Niagara County is about 3 hours east of here. If any of you have been to Niagara Falls, you've been in my county. So when I started this, we had to come up with a project, and I started with, we didn't have a plan of work. We don't have a plan of work, a formal thing. We've done it in the past. We've had staff meetings and then been sent back to our office, and we sit down and put things on paper, but we didn't really do anything with it. And at that time, I've been an educator for 6 years, so it takes a while to learn everything about extension. And so at that point in time, I didn't really know the value of it, and we just kind of started muddling along. And what I realized starting this class, I went back, I'm the chairman of my district, and I asked them, I said, how many of you have a program work, and are you using it, or what is directing you in your 4-H programming? And they're all like, no, we don't really have one either. So I feel like we're all doing good work, but we're kind of meandering, muddling along, doing a little of this and a little of that. I just don't think we're kind of doing it in a purposeful way. So with all I've learned, I feel like we have a lot to improve. And so, to show accountability for our time and resources, show our actions are planned and deliberate, identify issues in the community and how we plan to address them. And I also feel like it'll help with my 4-H committees, the board. Our executive director is retiring, so a new one's coming on. So I really feel like by having this, I'll be able to be more aligned with the executive director and their ideas and our ideas, So our audience obviously is kids 5 to 18 or 19. Some of them, I have one of our legislative pictures there, one of our, and then in the top corner that obviously represents volunteers, parents. One of our funders is in that photo. So this program will work. Hopefully, it'll be to share with everybody. So we have, just share with you a little bit about Niagara County. We have about 450 to 500 youth enrolled every year. And in doing this, I started learning a little more. I looked up about 60% of the kids are from rural or farm areas. We have about 30% that are from the smaller towns or smaller cities, how that is on our enrollment form. There's 10% from the suburbs, and we have one kid enrolled from the city of Buffalo that's crossing over from Erie County. We don't have any kids enrolled from Niagara Falls. So I definitely know that that's one objective or goal that I want to put into the plan to try to reach those urban kids. And it's a little difficult because our office is on the east side of the county and Niagara Falls is way over on the other side. So it's a little difficult. So obviously I want to align with the New York State 4-H objectives, those two, 4.1 and 5, all those objectives, look at what we've been doing in the past and how can we match up or improve and set the goals for the plan through that. So I tried to put a date down for implementation. So hopefully my hope is by September to have something set up and to complete our educator plans by September. So again, my ED is retiring, so a new one's coming on. So I hope that they're saying by the fall, hopefully we'll have a new one hired, that I'll be able to share that with them. And then I've had one staff member just retired. Yesterday was our last day, sadly, but I have a new staff member coming on board. So it's kind of a good time for all of this transition to be happening. So I want to do the plan of work, make sure all of us educators have our individual plans laid out. We kind of right now, we know who does what, but it's not formally down on paper. So I really want to put that down and, we help each other if someone needs something. But I just think that'll help identify everybody's responsibilities. And then, and then I hope that leads to all our individual program plans that we're writing down. And Ingrid and I have been talking about that those plans should be shared amongst the counties then. For example, like public presentations. If I have a materials list and a timeline, those are probably the same thing that another educator can use. So we've been talking about doing a project.
Stay tuned.
Yes. For all those I don't know, flagship programs that everybody's doing in their districts and things like that. That not only help other educators, but even our newer educators. One thing that I've started doing is attending a community focus group. We weren't doing that, and now since I've started this class, we've started attending. I found out that there was a Lockport community focus group, so we've been attending that. They have a monthly meeting, and it's run by one of our biggest funders. So I didn't know that, but I've learned that now, and we've started attending that, and I'm already amazed at what I'm learning about other organizations, how we can match up with them. And the biggest thing so far is we've had trouble with advertising our programs and getting into the schools. Some of the schools have these electronic things. Some of them you have to pay for to advertise to the school kids. So this focus group, they have a few places, different places to advertise. So I think that's really going to help us with getting some new kids into our programs. So as far as evaluation of my project, obviously I want to share it with my ED, my staff, the committees, our program committee, and then stakeholders. And then, definitely develop those benchmarks for reaching new audiences and, whatever we decide our program deliveries are going to be if we're coming up with something new. Kind of went through that quick. My resources, obviously the extension plan of work, the New York State 4-H staff hopefully will support me in developing this. PDLC has identified a ton of resources that I can now go back to. It's a little overwhelming in 4 months, all that we've crammed in, but it's great to know that they're there and I can go back to them and use them. Some of them I spent more time on than other areas. And of course, Celeste and Kim are great resources, but what us addicts would call enablers. And you're enabling my 4-H addiction. And I really liked the one section with the University of Kentucky, their program of work, their development things that they have on their site. I spent quite a bit of time looking at those, and so I did like those resources. So I haven't gotten, as far as maybe some other people on their project, but I've got the idea and, hopefully some direction of where I want to go. And I've just learned so much through this. I almost think I wish I had done it a little bit sooner, but then I don't know if I would have been receptive to and ready to receive all this information yet. But I definitely will be encouraging other 4-H educators to take this. So hopefully you're going to continue. And I do have to say, a lot of this has brought up some program reporting issues, because I'm not sure we're doing it right in our county. So I have lots of questions for you now.
Those are tears of joy.
So I don't know. I talk pretty fast. Any questions?
Question.
Yes.
It's not a question necessarily, sort of a question, but we're just thinking, prompted by Celeste, start looking at the state plan for going into that cycle. And so we're trying to figure that out, how to do that, how do we communicate with counties that we're doing that, make sure that our process is helpful to your processes. So I don't, just letting you know that maybe it's good timing in terms of how can we help you and how can we get that process aligned the way that makes it possible.
Yeah, you have 5 folks here that have been digging in and taking apart and asking questions around plan of work. So, and PDLC board members and from the past that have, sometimes for the first time really been digging through plan of work things. So, but these 5 here would probably give you some written up suggestions. Anytime you want it. Yeah, the plan of work is a living document, right?
Right.
So all of it is living. So yeah, just changes, even slight changes, sometimes can trickling down. It's hard,
But I feel like it's going to give us more direction.
Oh, absolutely.
And give us those goals to reach for.
Any other thoughts, questions?
Yes.
Could you go back to the needs slide? So I feel like the bottom 3 bullets are in the wrong order. It seems like the bottom one, identified issues for the needs assessment. You would do that before you're depending on the kind of resources.
Yeah, I guess I just listed those. I didn't really thinking about them in order.
And one of the identified issues, we cut off for the youth voice of that. If we can use the housing.
Yeah, we've tried doing surveys, but I've learned about surveys in here, and I think we're discussing that tomorrow. I brought a survey with me that we tried doing with the youth last summer to see what kind of programming they wanted, but it wasn't real successful. So I'm hoping tomorrow we work through some of that.
And one of the tricky parts about assessing needs through youth, sometimes we only talk to the kids that are coming anyway, right? So we're kind of missing all those, those kids from Niagara Falls. Like, how do you figure out what they need and what they want? And so working with the committee that you're working with to better understand, what's going on, working through other organizations might help you, because they're not going to know who 4-H is or who you are. So getting their voice at the table is going to be a little bit tricky.
Right, that's what I'm hoping by attending that community group. Yeah. They are, this community group, I think it's actually the funder, they're called the Skrig Lewis Foundation. They have a survey out right now. It's been this 3-step thing, and that they're doing, and they're going to report back to us. They're doing a survey right now. So I'm kind of interested to see what they come back with for the community. But I think they've had a lot of trouble getting it out there, and I've had trouble getting our kids and our families to fill out this survey as part of that, to try to help as that community resource of what are the needs out there and where do we fit in.
These guys have heard me say lots of times, Rome wasn't built in a day, right? You're moving in the right direction.
Right. Yeah, I feel like I'm so much further ahead than where I was, and it kind of renewed my excitement, I guess, or about it.
Don't forget your local youth bureau. They can be a really valuable partner in the needs assessment piece.
Mhm.
And they're going to have their finger on the pulse of what's happening in your region and your district.